Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, PhD, and this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving women leaders, and we talk about leadership purpose and its importance for you. I am a college professor, and when I am not doing that, I am speaking, writing, coaching, mentoring, and teaching high-achieving women leaders how to find, and not only find, but how to stay in alignment with their leadership purpose so they can make a meaningful difference right there in their career, leadership, or business. Okay, let's dive in. Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Robin, and I'm back today with another episode. Today, I'm here with Jennifer Farmer. So let me tell you a little bit about Jennifer. She's a writer, trainer, and a small business owner. And she's the author of the book, First and Only, A Black Woman's Guide to Thriving at Work and Life. And her writing has appeared in publications and platforms such as Thrive Global, CNN, The Root, HuffPost, and more. She's the founder of the public relations firm Spotlight PR. And through Spotlight, she works with a host of high-profile clients and social justice organizations. She's the founder of the Center for Social Justice Leadership, which supports leaders to create inclusive workplaces. Welcome, Jennifer Farmer.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Robin.
So glad to have you here. And I just wanted to put up your book here so you could see you're in good company with it. Okay, so let's jump right in. I just gave a little bit about you, but why don't you tell us in your own words so people know from you a little bit about who you are and what you do?
So I'm a mother of two. I'm a writer, and I spend my life thinking about how to promote social justice causes and also how to promote social justice and racial justice in my writing.
What would you say you enjoy most about your work and why?
I think one of the things that I enjoy most about my work is the sense of contributing to making the world a better place. So in the work that I do, a lot of times I hear about injustice, injustice in terms of housing, injustice in terms of voting restrictions, injustice in terms of police brutality, fatal police killings. And the groups who I work with, as well as the issues that I write about, they help illuminate that. They help pressure public officials to pass policies that would enact change. And so helping to tell those stories and also helping to bring awareness to different issues that would otherwise go unnoticed. I think that's the most fascinating thing about what I do. And it's certainly the thing that I enjoy the most.
Okay, good. You mentioned with the groups that you work with. What are some of those? What types are those groups?
I work with groups who are, focused on environmental justice. I work with groups who are focused on police brutality. I won't name any names. It's a personal thing for the book. But I work with people who are in the justice space. So they're doing something to make life better for marginalized communities.
Oh, I see. And that's you do the public relations work with those organizations.
Yes.
Right. And you're really committed to making a difference, it sounds like.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that is great. I was drawn to your work because of the title of your book, First and Only, A Black Woman's Guide to Thriving at Work and in Life. And I've recently been doing work with looking at women who are the first and only, or one of the few, in the room at work or in their industry or in their particular role. And so I was captivated by your book. What can you tell us? There's probably many, but one thing that prompted you to write this book and to focus on those who are first and only.
One of the reasons that I decided to write this book is because a lot of leadership content that exists today was not written from the perspective of Black women, nor was it written by Black women. There are a lot of people who are in leadership development, management, professional development, and they're white men or white women. And they speak from their lens, from their experience, perhaps some of what they've seen. But their experience, by virtue of who they are, is different from what Black women experience. And so for years, I had consumed leadership content that I thought would help me get ahead. And while you can learn something from anyone, I felt like many of the books and the content that I consumed did not speak to, nor did it prepare me for what it would be like to show up in various professional spaces in a Black female body. So I wrote my book to offer a Black woman's perspective on what Black women will encounter. I decided to think about and to write about what it's like to be the first and only, because when you are the first and only, you navigate and you experience things that few people in your circle have experienced. And while your circle can be supportive and while they can be empathetic, there's some things that you just can't talk to your circle about if they've never experienced it. And so I wanted to just document the phenomenon of being the first person, or the only person in a professional space, and the isolation that you can experience there, as well as the sense of where do I turn? Who do I go to? Who will understand this? Who can I consult for advice? And so those are some of the reasons that I thought it was important to bring First and Only, a Black woman's guide to thriving at work and in life, to light.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so I'm guessing that because this podcast, as you know, is leadership purpose, but it is intended for high achieving women across the board, whatever area, whatever profession they're in. And I'm guessing that there are some listening who are first and only. So what would be one, from your experience from writing the book and just from your own expertise and experience, what's some advice you would give to, let's say, a high achieving woman leader who is a first and only right now, and she's listening to this podcast? What would you say to her?
So what I would say is that it's very, very important to continue to cultivate a deep sense of confidence in your ability, in the work that you're doing, in the meaningfulness of the work, and of your effectiveness. As the first and the only, you may not receive all the accolades that you deserve. You may be passed over, you may not be recognized. And that is not an indictment on you or your capabilities or your talents. It's a function of being in a unique space. It's also a function of systemic racism and sexism. So it's very, very important for people who are the first and the only to have an abiding sense of confidence in their abilities and their talents and the importance of the work that they are doing. That's one thing. I think another thing that's really, really important for folks to realize as the first and the only is you may have experiences that people in your circle, they've never encountered, they may not understand. And what I say is, you don't have to you need a village. Your village does not always have to have gone through everything that you've gone through, but they have to be curious. They have to provide a safe space for you. And you need that as you navigate, different professional situations and different life experiences.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense to have that safe space because of what you mentioned earlier, the isolation from other people who don't get it. So to have a group of people that do, that would be supportive. I'm curious about your saying, have that sense of confidence. It seems to me that they would have the confidence that helped them get into those roles. But it sounds like what you're saying, it could slip away because of the pressures. Is that right?
Right. So what I'm saying is, obviously to be a high achiever, you likely have some level of confidence. But when you enter different spaces and people tell you that you're different, that we've never done it this way, that your approach may not work, to maintain that sense of confidence. And what I'm saying is when you see people around you being rewarded with promotions and you feel that perhaps you have more capabilities, more talents, to maintain that sense of confidence. So don't let your confidence be dependent on what you may or may not hear as you navigate different professional spaces. It has to be an abiding sense that that can't be disturbed.
It makes a lot of sense. Yes. Well, as you know, this podcast is Leadership Purpose. It's one of my favorite things to do to encourage people. And you mentioned about how it was important to have meaningful work, right? And to have meaning in the work. And so that's one of my favorite things to help people with is finding meaning and purpose in their work. But I just would like to hear from you. When you hear the term leadership purpose, what comes to your mind?
I think about leading, not just for the sake of leading, but leading with a unique purpose, and for each of us, that could be different. But I think about being really, really intentional, really, really clear on, what your calling is, what your purpose is, and then leaning into that.
Yes. Do you think it's important to have that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So much of what we know about leadership and so much of what is presented to us about how to lead, it is from the perspective of white men. And I know that when I was starting out in my career, I worked for two different men, both alpha males, and I thought that I had to model their leadership style. I thought that I had to do everything the way that they did it because they were my examples. They had reached a certain level of success, and I thought I had to be them. And so I talk in the book, First and Only, A Black Woman's Guide to Thriving. I talked about me trying on for size how they operated and realizing, no, that's their style. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't feel comfortable for me. And so for me, leadership purpose is understanding where I want to go, understanding that my style does not have to replicate anyone else's except for mine, being confident and comfortable enough to lean into that and to let that drive me versus all the many messages that we receive about what leaders should and what leaders should not do.
Yes, yes. I can hear your passion when you're speaking about this, this sense of being unique to yourself. And I love that. All right. So now, is there anything else you'd like to share as we get ready to wind up? Is there anything that's on your mind that just popped in that you'd like to share?
I guess the thing that I think about, since your work is about helping women and helping high achieving women who are the first and only, is some of us have had a hard road, and some of us have experienced things that perhaps we don't want anyone else to experience. I think that as we reach, we need to continually think about who we're pulling along and never lose sight of the importance of bringing other people along, even as we achieve different milestones, thinking about what doors we can open for others and being very intentional to say that just because I experienced it this way does not mean the people who report to me or the people who work with me have to experience it the way that I did. If there's a way for me to make their path easier, perhaps that's what I should consider doing.
Yes, yes. I love that. I love that. The idea of supporting and helping others who are coming along. Yeah. Okay, Jennifer, as we're coming to the end, I'm sure people are listening to you now and they want to know, okay, they're going to get the book, First and Only, A Black Woman's Guide to Thriving at Work and Life. And they may be asking, well, how else can I reach her? So how can they get in touch with you?
So my website is jenniferrfarmer.org. And then you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at PR_whisperer or on Facebook, Jennifer R. Farmer.
Okay. All right. You are the PR whisperer. Okay. You heard that, everyone, and the information will be in the show notes. Thank you all for listening. And thank you, Jennifer Farmer, for being here.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Robin, and best of luck to you with everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Robin signing off. See you next time.